the door. When I ask the owner about his vulnerability, he simply chuckles and resumes his lunch. Andre Renard, brother of the legendary war hero Emile Renard, has requested that I keep his exact location secret. I don't care if the dead find me, he says without feeling, but I care very little for the living. The former French national immigrated to this place after the official end of hostilities in Western Europe. Despite numerous invitations from the French government, he has not returned. Everyone else is a liar. Everyone who claims that their campaign was the hardest of the entire war. All those ignorant peacocks who beat their chests and brag about mountain warfare, or jungle warfare, or urban warfare. Cities, oh, how they love to brag about cities. Nothing more terrifying than fighting in a city. Oh, really? Try underneath one. Do you know why the Paris skyline was devoid of skyscrapers? I mean the pre-war proper Paris skyline. Do you know why they stuck all those glass and steel monstrosities out in La Défense, so far from the city center? Yes, there's aesthetics, a sense of continuity and civic pride, not like that architectural mongrel called London, but the truth, the logical, practical reason for keeping Paris free from American-style monoliths is that the earth beneath their feet is simply too tunneled to support it. There are Roman tombs, quarries that supplied limestone for much of the city, even World War II bunkers used by the resistance, and yes, there was a resistance. Then there is the modern metro, the telephone lines, the gas mains, the water pipes, and through it all, you have the catacombs. Roughly 6 million bodies were buried there, taken from the pre-revolution cemeteries, where corpses were just tossed in like rubbish.
Alright, shut the
Listen,
hell up.
Robert. I can. Thank you.
Alright, see you later.
To Ulysses, to your appointment. So you're gonna need to do the story tonight at home on your Chromebook. Okay. Okay. Through it all, you have the catacombs. All right. Where corpses were just tossed in like rubbish. The catacombs contained entire walls of skulls and bones, arranged in macabre patterns. It was even functional in places where interlocking bones held back mounds of loose remains behind them. The skulls always seemed to be laughing at me. So that right there, guys, great imagery. Entire walls of skulls and bones arranged in patterns. That's great imagery. That should give you something in your mind to imagine. The skulls always seem to be laughing at me. There's symbolism. This is a story about a man who has to fight zombies. So before he ever describes fighting them, he talks about the skulls of dead men laughing at his suffering and his misery and how much he hates being down there. That's symbolism. It has meaning beyond just the fact that skulls always look like they're laughing.
That just means he's tripping now.
It means what? What does it mean?
That he's tripping.
That he's tripping? No, if you guys ever actually see a human skull, they always look like they're grinning because of the way our jaws are designed. Yeah, it's actually what's called a death's head grin. Because in death, everybody grins. I don't think I can blame the civilians who tried to survive in that subterranean world. They didn't have the civilian survival manual back then. They didn't have Radio Free Earth. It was the Great Panic. Maybe a few souls who thought they knew those tunnels decided to make a go for it. A few more followed them, then a few more. The word spread, it's safe underground. 250,000 in all. That's what the bone counters have determined. 250,000 refugees. Maybe if they had been organized, thought to bring food and tools, even had enough sense to seal the entrances behind them, make damn sure those coming in weren't infected. How can anyone claim their experience can compare to what we endured? The darkness and the stink. We had almost no night vision goggles, just one pair per platoon, and that's if you were lucky. Spare batteries were in short supply for our electric torches, flashlights. 2. Sometimes there was only one working unit for an entire squad. just for the point man, cutting the darkness with a red-coated beam. The air was toxic with sewage, chemicals, rotting flesh. Smell imagery. The gas masks were a joke. Most of the filters had long expired. We wore anything we could find. Old military models or firefighting hoods that covered your entire head. Made you sweat like a pig, simile. Made you deaf as well as blind, metaphor. You never knew where you were. Staring through that misty visor, hearing the muffled voices of your squad mates. The crackle of your radio man. We had to use hardwired sets, you see, because airwave transmissions were too unreliable. We used old telephone wire, copper, not fiber optic. We would just rip it off the conduits and keep massive